No! Heck no! Heck no! Are you kidding? Why would you want that? No! Heck no! But why not? I really enjoyed Dragon Ball Super Broly. In fact, I saw it in theaters 3 times, and I have no problem saying, as a longtime Dragon Ball fan who has seen pretty much every piece of Dragon Ball media out there, that this is hands down my all-time favorite Dragon Ball movie. Better than Fusion Reborn. Better than Battle of Gods. But like Battle of Gods, the new Broly movie is considered canon to the Dragon Ball series as a whole, which isn't something that can be said about many, if any, movies prior to Battle of Gods. When Dragon Ball Super started, they dedicated 14 episodes to recapping Battle of Gods, and 13 more to recapping Resurrection F. So that begs the question, even though there are currently no plans to continue the anime of Super, let's face it, they're going to eventually. It was way too successful for them to just stop entirely. So once the show returns, should it spend time adapting the Broly movie in the same way it did Battle of Gods and Resurrection F? Or should it just expect its audience to have seen the movie before they continue the series? First, let's talk about the Battle of Gods and Resurrection F sagas in Super. In case you didn't know, they were not very well received at all, and they would be easily skippable for people who have already seen the movies, if they didn't introduce new characters and elements that became important later in the series. Mostly. See, while most people's biggest complaints about these first 2 sagas is the subpar animation that got much better as the series went on, I personally had some issues with the Battle of Gods saga that involved changes from the plot of the movie to the plot of the show. In the movie, there is a scene where the Pilaf gang hold Trunks at gunpoint, prompting a drunken Gohan to think that it's a fake gun since they're children, so he plays along with the act by becoming the Great Saiyaman and deflecting their bullets. One of the bullets accidentally goes into Vidal's leg, so Dende has to heal her. While healing her, Dende finds out that she's pregnant with Pan. This foreshadows later when the unborn Pan is used as the 5th Saiyan to trigger the Super Saiyan God ritual. This whole scene never happens in the show. Instead, there is no inclination that Videl is pregnant until it's blatantly stated before the ritual. Even earlier than that in the movie, the only reason the Pilaf gang are allowed at Bulma's birthday party is because Trunks lies and tells the other that Mai is his girlfriend. This is the first hint of a relationship between Trunks and Mai, as weird as it is since she's technically 41 years old. This later develops in the future Trunks saga of Super, where there's clearly a lot of romantic tension between the two, mainly because of the existence of future Mai and her relationship with future Trunks. However, in the show, this never happens. Trunks never lies about Mai being his girlfriend to get the Pilaf gang into the party, so if you only watched the show and not the movie, their connection in the future Trunks saga comes completely out of nowhere. These seem like incredibly minor complaints, but they really affect the world building of Super, and I don't hear them talked about very often compared to the other issues of the Battle of Gods saga. So what about the Resurrection F saga? It suffers from the same basic issues as the last saga, like subpar animation and unnecessarily dragging out the plot, including that absurd scene where Vegeta starts fighting Goku with no explanation because he's taking too long against Frieza. The same thing happens in the movie, but it's nowhere near as drawn out as it is in the show. Gosh, I hate that scene. But there are some other changes made in the show that I personally really liked. All of these changes take place in episode 22. For one, Tagoma, a character who was quickly killed off by Frieza in the movie, actually served as Frieza's training partner in the show, which gives him a massive power buff. In episode 22, Ginyu, still in a frog's body from the events of the Captain Ginyu saga, manages to switch bodies with Tagoma. Ginyu is not in the movie at all, and I love that they brought him back for this. The show also included Goten and Trunks, who weren't in the movie at all, despite Frieza's intention to take revenge on Trunks in addition to Goku. Frieza's acknowledgement of Trunks is something that should have happened in the movie, and I'm glad the show made up for it. At the end of the episode, Frieza starts attacking Gohan with the intent to kill him, before Piccolo jumps in front of Frieza's final attack, sacrificing himself and paralleling the fight against Nappa during the Saiyan saga of Z. Piccolo does not die in the movie, and I find it to be an extremely bold move to so drastically increase the stakes in the show. Even though they just glance over Piccolo being revived at the end of the saga, I still like that they took that risk of having a main character die during this conflict. Unlike most people, I really like the Resurrection F saga of Super because of these changes. The other issues never really bothered me because I'm not a stickler for animation like most critics of Super are. However, that doesn't mean that I can't recognize good animation when I see it, which brings me to the main reason why I think they should not do an anime saga for Broly: the animation. Dragon Ball Super Broly looks absolutely phenomenal, with an art style that resembles hand-drawn animation. While shots from the show or previous movies sometimes have characters standing still and talking with only their mouths moving, there is constantly motion in Broly. Whether a character's hair is flowing or they're breathing, there's never a dull shot to look at. No, I'm not saying that if they did an anime adaptation of Broly that it would look anywhere near as bad as those first two sagas of Super. Heck no, they've certainly learned their lesson by now. But it wouldn't be in the same style. Even Battle of Gods and Resurrection F were still done in the same visual style as Z and eventually Super. Broly was a major departure from that, and I don't think it would work as well if they reverted it back to the old style. I'm not saying I expect every piece of Dragon Ball media in the future to be in the same style as Broly, despite how awesome that would be. It's simply unrealistic considering the production cost. There are also so many small details in the animation that I fear would be overlooked in an anime adaptation. For example, while Goku and Broly are brawling in the underground lava area, Goku bites Broly's hand. It's a quick blink and you miss it visual gag that harkens back to Goku's fights against Kid Buu and Beerus. There's also a considerable amount of CGI in Broly, which some people are quick to complain about because for some reason they think that any amount of CGI in anything is a bad thing, which I completely disagree with. The CG in Broly transitions extremely smoothly back and forth from the regular animation, and I really think it adds to the experience. Battle of Gods and Resurrection F also used CGI, mainly for backdrops and environments, but when translated to the show, there's no CG whatsoever. A version of Broly without the CGI would not transition to standard animation well at all. There's also the soundtrack of the movie, which, as goofy as it was at some points, was an integral part of the intensity of the fight. There's no way they would put that music in the show, which, again, would detract from the experience without it. And then there's the issue of the first third of the movie, the flashback scenes of Planet Vegeta. These rewritings of Broly and Paragus' backstory and the Bardock story would be extremely out of place if they dedicated an episode or two to them. But without them, the story of Broly, Paragus, and the planet Vampa would be missing a lot. And if they wanted to make an episode for the revamped Bardock story, they might as well just make an anime for the entire Jacko the Galactic Patrolman series, since Dragon Ball Minus was originally a prequel to Jacko. I know I'd enjoy a full Jacko series. Also, would Super abide by the redesign of First Form Frieza, even though that form has already appeared in its original design during the Resurrection F saga? By not adapting Broly at all, they wouldn't have to worry about that inconsistency. When Super starts back, what they should do is immediately start adapting the manga, which has already continued past the Tournament of Power. For the first time in Super, the manga is actually ahead of the anime, since it skipped over Broly entirely. The manga has always deviated from the anime because it was behind, so it could, but now the anime has the opportunity to either slightly change up what's happening in the manga, or do a completely different plot. This is the direction that they should take in the anime when it continues, instead of spending time recapping the Broly movie. They can still utilize the characters of Broly, Shilai, Lemo, and Frieza's new men without having them appear in a recap first. After all, as I said earlier, the future Trunks saga relied on prior knowledge of Trunks and Mai's relationship, which only appeared in the Battle of Gods movie, proving that movie-exclusive events can still influence the show. They don't need to make an anime adaptation of Broly. There's no way it would come anywhere close to matching the quality of the movie, and it would be a little bit disrespectful considering just how good it is. And honestly, if they did, part of me would feel like boycotting the show until that saga was over, but I'm a little too dedicated to the Dragon Ball series to do that, so I'd probably watch it anyways. Plus, considering some of the stuff they pulled with the Battle of Gods and Resurrection F sagas, they'd likely sneak in some anime-exclusive content. So, in conclusion, should Dragon Ball Super Broly have an anime saga? No! Heck no! Heck no! Are you kidding? Why would you want that? No! Heck no! Hello everyone, if you enjoyed the video, please consider checking out some of my other Dragon Ball related videos. Way back when, long before the Tournament of Power, I did a top 12 list of ranking all the episodes from the Gathering of Warrior saga in the Universe Survival saga, and that was right after it came out in the sub, so if you're only watching the dub, one, you kinda got spoiled by the movie, I'm sorry man, but also, that video is spoiler free now, so I'll link that in the description. You can go see that ranking of the Gathering of Warrior saga episodes. And also in the description, you can watch me try out the new DLC characters in Dragon Ball FighterZ, Jiren and Videl, and I also give my thoughts on the upcoming game, Project Z. It looks really good. And upcoming, I do have another Dragon Ball related video coming. I kind of want it to be about anti-heroes in Dragon Ball in the whole series, and it's going to include some stuff from the Broly movie, but I'll give a spoiler warning before that, but if you got to this point in this, you've probably already seen the movie. Anyways, have a great day. You're awesome.